I have placed a lot of wheat seeds. 25,000 wheat seeds placed. Yeah, I was all doing this. This is quite a big wheat field. Welcome back to my Minecraft survival world. Today's episode is all about beautiful golden plant we call wheat. As you've seen in previous episodes, this is something we've just been starting to build up. And I decided just to smash out a huge chunk of it, because why not? Yeah, I just decided, let's get it over and done with. This episode, it's going to be all about the wheat field, and we're just going to place a load of seeds. Of course, at the moment, it's not looking amazing. We've not played the height at all. I just decided I would flatten it all out, and we'll start from there and then work out where we want to get some bumps and lumps in. My plan is to get some windmills in here. I think that will look really cool. I think a series of 3 windmills we're going to get in this wheat field. Going to have one at the forefront, which is going to be a bigger design. And here's where I'm playing a little bit of sight lines a bit. We're going to get one windmill, quite big and close up. We're going to get a second windmill over there, which is going to be a medium-sized one, a slightly smaller one. And then one all the way over in that far end that's going to be quite small. And the idea with that is that it's going to create kind of a full sense of scale. Having the big windmill up close, it's going to look, okay, there's a windmill, that's what the windmill size is. And having one further away that's smaller, okay, it looks further away. Not only because it is further away, because the windmill design is smaller. And the one over there that's going to be really small will hopefully really sell this idea that it's quite a distance away and make this wheat field look way bigger than it actually is. Currently, this wheat field does a great job of framing this kind of hillside. This shape isn't final. We're going to play around this hillside. That's next episode's big project, which I've alluded to. Episode 10 is going to be not a mega base. It's not going to be that big, but this is going to be our new base that we're going to work on in the next episode, which I'm really excited for. But the idea is we're going to have some custom terrain coming up onto this building that's going to sit on this cliff, and we'll adjust the wheat as to where it needs to come up to from there. Of course, over on the other side, what I want to do is I want to have a path that's higher up on a bank that leads across over to here, and then we're going to have a bridge in here at some point, which I think is going to be really cool. But I need to work out where this path is going to run and where this higher ground is going to run. So the idea is it's going to be on some higher ground, maybe with some trees lining the path as well. And then we're going to adjust it, and then we can bring the wheat up right up to there. Of course, I do want to get that kind of in progress. I want to work out where we're going to have the wheat field coming up to. So I think it's important that we actually get this corner of the town all finished up. I've got a build plan that's going to feature a really cool town gate with like a castle design I think you're really going to like. And then a few extra houses just to close off this area. And then hopefully it should look a little bit more finished over on this side of town. Of course, still got quite a bit of progress to do over on this side of town, but we're getting towards it now. We're working on these buildings and the town's really coming along. I think getting this addition in this corner and then working out where we want this path to wrap round should be really cool, especially having the wheat to one side and the river over on the other side. I think it's going to be really cool. So I think it's time to start working on building this gatehouse and a couple extra houses for the village. So let's jump into the first time lapse of this video. This town is really starting to feel complete now, especially with our brand new gatehouse. You can see it poking up through there. I'm really happy with this build, and it's really just kind of finished off this end of the town. Of course, it's not fully finished. We've got to tidy up some dead ends and a little bit more decoration. We need to put the street lamps in as well, because of course, as soon as I start recording, it is getting dark. But yeah, over in this part of the town, we now have it kind of finished off building-wise, which is really cool. Got it next to the building we built last episode on the outskirts there, and it comes through this here, and I can hear that it sounds like it's a little bit of a... Yeah, let's not go in there for the time being. Why do I never learn? But yeah, as you see, we built up a couple small houses first. We kind of got this very small one that's kind of attached to this yellow one, which is a new colour. playing around with, and I think the yellow is quite fun. It's another just little extra pop of colour, and actually this build has used a bit more bolder colours, which is quite fun. And then, of course, we've got our gatehouse. So what I wanted to have with this was kind of like a main tower, and then a smaller tower next to it with a bridge joining them up. Can't really see it great from here. It's not its most flattering angle, so let's jump outside and have a look at it from out here. And yeah, I really like that. We've used the reds for the roof. This is a roof texture that I've used in the past, and it's one of my favorites. I love kind of the red. You go red concrete, red terracotta, pink terracotta, normal terracotta, grey terracotta, and then to stone. So you really can transition it from the red all the way to grey, which is really fun. But yeah, it's quite intricate. We've got quite a lot of detailing. We've kind of got the main structure, which is kind of a square, which is quite simple. And then you've got the towers coming up on the side that come out a little bit, and you've got these kind of funky bits that pop out. Meanwhile, the middle bit kind of shrinks a little bit and then has the bigger roof that kind of slopes up quite like that. And yeah, and then we've got two different types of windows. We've got kind of the scaffolding windows and then the copper windows. We use some buttons and some stairs to add a bit of interest. And the roof support is with some oak gates. And then you kind of got the trim of dark oak, and I really like that. Then we've got our small little bridge, and this is kind of like the very medieval sort of bridge with the white filled in with the wooden supports, and I think that's come across really nicely. And then the other tower is very simple, very similar to this one, just on a smaller scale, and it sits quite nicely and builds the skyline up there. Then we've got our gate, so when it's nighttime, we'll shut the gates and make sure no mobs get in. We got like the chains on the side to add a little bit of realism, which I think is nice. Of course, we have actually got around to doing kind of the paths in as well, which is nice. A little touch of flowers there, which I think is really nice as well. And yeah, I'm just really happy with this build. It kind of completes, building-wise, this side of town, and it makes it really cool when you're walking through the village now. You kind of got the boat there, the island behind it. Come this way. Okay, that one needs work, that viewpoint. But turn around this way, and you've got this tower up ahead, and it really just feels complete. And I'm really happy with it. So I think what I'm going to do on the other side of it, I think I'm going to put a small forest in here. I think that should be really, really cool, just to add a kind of a visual barrier. I was thinking about maybe getting a wall in here and having that come down towards the water edge, but I'm not sure. I think I'm going to play with that idea. In fact, a wall could look really cool. I could have the wall kind of on this side, and then a small forest either side of it. Could look really cool. Okay, that's a potential idea. So maybe I'll do that, and then I need to finish off the terraforming and the path work around on this side. But yeah, it really just helps build into the skyline. I love this kind of view here from behind the ship now. Just an extra building in there, an extra thing, a bit of interest onto the skyline with its many peaks. It does look quite fortified, which I'm really happy with. Yeah, I love it in there, a little bit of extra colour as well. Very happy with the design of that. And yeah, as you can see, that's kind of that corner of the village wrapped up now. As I say, we'll play around with what we're going to do in this space here. I've not fully decided what I want to do with that. And then we need to come back over onto this side. And I think we'll add another gatehouse over on this side of the village as well, which would be quite cool. Something similar to that. Not quite the same build, but something similar. I might even do two of these kind of main towers next to each other. That could look cool. And then we could have like a grand kind of entrance over on this side of town. But yeah, the purpose of building up this tower, this gatehouse, is to establish where we want a path to come out through here, and where we want it to wrap round so we can bring the wheat all the way out to it. So then we can complete our wheat field and know exactly where it kind of stretches out to. So I think the best thing for that, oh no, we've got some intruders. So yeah, what we're going to do, we'll jump up into FreeCam, and we're going to take a screenshot. And then I'm going to take that screenshot over into Photoshop, and we'll draw some paths out of where we want kind of the land to go. So we grab the screenshot over into Photoshop, and we can start working out what we want this kind of landscape to look like. Of course, at the moment, it's very kind of damaged with all of this kind of scars, all of the ravines we've got in the landscape that I need to fix up. So yeah, we will focus on kind of covering up these gaps, filling them in. Ignore the very crude Photoshop work. We are just using the pen and just covering over it all, but that kind of does the job. And then we want to work out where we want our landscape to come up to. So this is kind of all right here, but then I kind of want it to come in. Maybe come out a little bit here, and I think it would be quite cool to get like a tree in here. So that will be a little tree in there. And then you want to come out the pathway, look here, and you want to have a view over the wheat field before you turn off this direction. So then the landscape will come round of that, and it will kind of take you up round towards the coastline. So this will be kind of where the path goes. And then the path can continue along this stretch up to here while the bank comes alongside it, just like that. And that should open up this area for us. Could be quite cool to get like a hill or something in over here. Just a small one, just to add a bit of interest. And then some small areas just kind of coming out like that, so we get a bit of elevation in this wheat field, which at the moment is very much lacking kind of any elevation at all. In the future, I'm not going to spoil it now, but we are going to have a little bridge up here, just something like that. This is very crude, but it will kind of give you the idea of what I want to have in there. And then what I think would be really cool is just to have this pathway lined with trees. I think that would look really cool, kind of like in France or Belgium or somewhere like that, where you see kind of these roads with the trees alongside that the soldiers used to walk under to give them a bit of shade. I think replicating something like that could be really cool, especially when you're kind of looking down here up at the build like that. You can kind of see it acts as a bit more of a visual kind of barrier, so you're not looking at this cliffside, which at the moment is very ugly, and I don't know if we're going to work on transforming it at all. Yeah, so we might have some bushes or something in here, like a small forest maybe could be quite cool. As well, playing with the idea of having a wall in, something like that could also be quite good. Oh, I quite like actually having drawn that wall on now. I quite like that idea. And then, yeah, finally getting towards the end of the episode, we will have our little windmills sitting in the landscape. We'll have one around here, one back here, and then one off over in this direction, which won't be right where I placed it there, but that's just a placeholder. I'm not 100% sure about the idea yet, but I think it could be nice to get some trees, especially over on this side of a landscape, just kind of dotted in the wheat field, just like some large oak trees just sitting in the landscape, somewhere like that. But yeah, that's just kind of give you a plan of what I want this landscape to look like. I kind of want to have it, I think, maybe a bit more rolling hills at some point, just like here. I've not fully decided on what I want to do, how steep I want this to be. I think it could be quite cool to get some rock work in, maybe like with a lighter rock color, something like that. Just have it like in there, but maybe kind of like gradually gets a bit bigger up to here. But yeah, this is kind of the very rough idea of what we want to do with this landscape. I always find it's fun to kind of go into Photoshop and play around and do something like this to give us an idea. But you can see what kind of shape we want to get in the landscape and what we're trying to achieve. So let's see how well we can translate that to Minecraft. I have done a lot of building, and I'll be honest, I think it's absolutely worth it. as we walk out onto our newly formed path by the wheat field. And I mean, this is definitely one of the coolest kind of experiences I think I've built in Minecraft. Just the vibe of walking through it, I think, is really, really lovely and really natural. You've got the wheat field to your right, whilst you're walking up on the raised terrain with the trees reaching over. You've got the leaves dropping down. You've got the vegetation that makes it kind of feel a little bit foresty in here. You look down to the other side and you've got the river flowing through. I am so happy about how this has come out. This is kind of, this is what I envisioned us kind of making. And I'm really glad that I've actually been able to kind of bring it to life in Minecraft. This ultimately leads us to the end here, where we'll have a bridge extending towards the other side. But yeah, of course we needed the path to get us to and from there. So that's what I've done. So as you can see, we've kind of got a row of trees. I can't remember how many trees I did in the end. I think it's like 23 or 25, which if you've built custom trees, you will know takes quite a while. The reason why one of the reasons why this episode has taken so long to come out after the previous one is because this was a much bigger project. Well, all of the wheat, all of it was a much bigger project than I kind of anticipated it would be. But it really has expanded our world. If you consider our world was kind of like the village there, today's episode has doubled our world. Yeah, so we use the white rocks to act as kind of the stone, and then we've got the path raised up higher, so we have it kind of straight up and then onto the higher elevation, and then having the wheat come across to there. Next to that, we've got our trees, and as I've said, we kind of want the kind of vibe where you got the double trees on both sides, providing shelter, protects you from the sun as you're walking along here. And then on the other side, it's less advanced, I've not really done too much, I've just kind of flattened out the terrain here. Of course, as well, we expanded the wheat field, so we just kind of made it slope up this way a bit to give a bit more interest into the actual shape of the field. We've got this bit sticking out here, which you'll see what we're going to do on there in a minute. And the rest of the wheat field kind of reaches up and rises up to this point, with the highest point over there. What's very fun is that we now have a few different trees. We've got more different tree types in the world. We've not just got kind of the oak trees. We've got some birch trees. We've got some bigger oak trees and some dark oak trees. So all of the different types of trees, well, 3 different types of trees, as you can see, just kind of, plopped through here just to create a bit of difference, a bit of change in kind of the canopy so it doesn't all just kind of blend in together. There's a bit of colour difference in there, which is super important when you're building multiple trees next to each other. And I absolutely love the vibe of this. I love walking through it. The path blocks are really nice, actually. They're not like too distracting, but it's a nice kind of way how it's dark on the edge and it kind of lightens up in the middle and it kind of focuses you down the middle. And I just keep running up and down here and it's such a lovely, wonderful vibe. I want to point out this bit over here. I just really like this kind of bit where we've got the tree sticking out, just kind of the one focal point, the one birch tree, and then using these flowers, which are really lovely, the new wildflowers, and a bit of moss as well to provide a little bit of different elevation. We've got some azalea leaves in the ground, which look a bit like slightly different plants in the ground, rather than just grass, maybe like a clover or something like that. And then we've got our ferns, tall grass, and this is the first time I've used this one. This is the new bush, which is Zed fighting a bit with the fern there, but ignore that. But yeah, this is a really nice block as well. And I think it just perfectly complements coming out of the village. So you're in the village, it's all busy. I mean, of course, we've got the vegetation in here. It's all busy, lots of houses, and then you step out here and suddenly you're in the countryside. And I really feel like I've captured that here with the rolling wheat fields, the trees. I'm really happy with this, if you couldn't tell. But now to complete this project, what we really could do with is a nice windmill sitting right there, focusing the eye and having a bit of a center point in this wheat field. So let's get into building this windmill. Do you know what the worst block to build in Survival Minecraft is? Is it maybe blocks of netherite? Is it maybe, I don't know, what else is there bad? No, you're wrong. The answer is this. Deep slate coal ore. Don't build out of this. This stuff sucks. Ooh, yeah, it looks really pretty. No, wrong. It's really hard to get. It's nowhere. You have to go deep into the mines and you have to find it, and it sucks and I hate it and it was awful and it took forever to get 9 of them, and then of course I found 9 more. But of course, yes, we did use these blocks, which was a mistake, and don't ever copy my mistake, in our brand new windmill. You can see you've got some there. And this is our windmill. I absolutely love this design. I really want to try and focus on doing shading. So that was, yeah, kind of a big focus. I wanted to really work out where the sun's going to be coming from this build. I've seen people using stuff like Axiom to do this, but I wanted to do it myself. I think it's a really fun idea just to like have the idea of the sun's beaming down on this side. So as you can see, we've got the lighter textures here, darker textures over here where the sun's not hitting. And it kind of works on the other side as well. If you're looking down, then the sun's hitting there. And that's kind of, yeah, the main windmill design. We wanted to have the 4 blades nice and kind of on display, sticking out in the landscape. And I think that's really nice. I'm really happy with this kind of blade design. Did think about doing like a curved blade, but like windmills in real life don't have curved blades, at least not in the UK. So I went with kind of the straight edges. And you can imagine that would move. Of course, I think the curved blades do show a little bit more movement, but it looks like it could move. It looks like a windmill, which I'm really happy with. Got a nice little roof on there, just very simple, but this is kind of, yeah, using a few references that I found online of pictures of windmills, drawings, and I think I created that shape really well, with kind of it sloping in towards the top, and then the roof sticking out a little bit with a bit of support with the gates. And then over on the side, I really wanted to challenge myself to kind of do very beat-up sort of style building with very kind of flat, like there's not much depth in this build at all. What we're getting our depth through and our interest through is the variety of blocks. So we've got a wide variety of blocks in here. We've kind of got the spruce colours, that's the main colour I kind of wanted to get across. Then we've got coarse dirt, the oak, the pale oak, tough, and then of course the worst block in Minecraft, the deep slate coal ore. And that just tried to create a very kind of simple shape to draw your eyes towards the windmill, but have like the little shape there as well, but it's not too distracting. And I'm really happy with this build. As you can see, it sits kind of like perfectly in this landscape in the wheat field. It's big, it's nice and big, but it doesn't feel too out of place, I don't think. It's just like a really nice landmark in the wheat field, which is what we wanted it for. Not done much of the interior, just added a floor, but there's definitely potential to do stuff with the interior here. Of course, we also had to thread some paths through the landscape to connect it up with our world. This path will lead off towards the next project in the next episode up to this big hill. We'll have another path sneaking off kind of this way through here, leading to the smaller windmill that we will work on in a moment. And another one over there, I think. But this wheat field isn't just going to have one windmill, we're going to have 3 in there. So let's get on to building the second windmill and the third windmill. To steal a phrase from Mumbo Jumbo, I am chuffed to bits of how this has turned out. As you can see, we now have all 3 of our windmills in place. And as you can see, or maybe you can't see, maybe the illusion's working really well. And you can't actually tell that these are all different size windmills. But yeah, we do actually have our main windmill, our up close windmill, that's nice and big. And then our second windmill, which is a bit further away. It's not actually much further away. It's only a few blocks actually back from it, as you can see, but it's a much smaller, well, not much smaller, but a decently smaller design. Does make it look like it's the same build, just further away, which I think is really cool. And then, of course, our final windmill, our teeny tiny little windmill. It's not that teeny tiny, but it's pretty small, all things considered. is right in the way back here. And that makes it look, I think, much further away than it actually is, which I think we've achieved kind of that idea that we wanted to achieve, which I'm really happy about. So as you can see, we've done a very similar sort of design using the kind of this light idea of light hitting over on this side, using kind of the bone blocks, the mushroom stem, the diorite walls, just to create that kind of whiter, lighter tone. And then on this side where it's a bit darker, using the wood textures. And as you can see, it's very similar, all the similar palette and stuff. We just adapted it down to a slightly smaller scale, which was fun and a lot quicker to build. Once I knew what we were doing for this one, these were really quick to actually build. And then our smaller one that's miles off in the distance, so far away in the distance. Oh wait, hang on a second, it's just tiny. With stubby little windmill arms. I did play around with making the actual blades like a little bit smaller, using kind of quartz slabs there, but the diorite walls there didn't work. Honestly, side note, Mojang, please give us a white wall. These, they're not that white. Like, give us quartz walls. Like, smooth quartz walls would be gorgeous. Please give us that. But yeah, as you can see, again, adapting the same design, just a much smaller scale. And this one's really cute. I really like this one, actually. I might pop this around more in the world because it's not particularly resource intensive. And it's really cute. But yeah, as we fly in, you can see the enormous progress we've made today. Consider at the start of the episode how little of this land was covered, from doing these giant windmills, well, some giant, some small, to this large set of terrain work with all of these custom trees. I'm very happy with how this episode's turned out, and it really is filling up our world. I mean, just in terms of the footprint of our world now, we're covering such a much bigger area, and this is probably one of my biggest survival worlds. Not most days played, but for a single player world, the amount of footprint this world takes, the amount of blocks that we built in, it's definitely up there. And I'm loving the vibe of just walking through this world and experiencing it. I think it's so cool. It's easy to forget that we built this gatehouse at the start of the episode. That feels like a long time ago. Probably because for me, it was quite a while ago. This episode has taken me quite a bit of time to do, especially doing all of this terrain work and all of these custom trees. It's taken me a long time to get out, so I'm sorry. I will look to have episodes up in shorter time frames in the future, but yeah, my apologies. But I hope at least the vibe it created is worth it. And I honestly have to say, I really think it is. Walking through this world, having a wheat field spanning out there, the tree line here. And I can't wait for the next episode where we build up our new base of operations, which is going to be super cool up on top of this mountain. Of course, it's time for comment of the day. So for today's comment, we've got a comment from Don Johns, who said that was a crazy save in the Nether. It was. I still can't quite believe I actually managed to survive that, falling into the lava from there. If you haven't seen that, go check it out, because I almost lost everything, which was a bit scary. But yeah, massive thank you to you, Don Johns, for leaving the comment, subscribing, watching the video. Really appreciate it. Of course, if you want to be featured in comment of the day, please leave a comment below saying what you liked about the episode, or a fun story, or anything, and you can be featured in our world. And that about wraps it up for today's episode. Thank you very much for watching. If you have enjoyed, I would really appreciate it if you're able to like, subscribe if you wanted to see more, and I'll see you in the next episode.